And hello and good morning. I'm David Bowles, I think. Oh boy, it's been quite an interesting couple of days trying to figure out what in the world is going on with Windows and the updates and the voice and the sound and the clarity and the not clarity. So you think you have everything all worked out, so you're going to make this big jump from Mac to Windows. By the way, this is Bowles TV, BOLES.TV. I'm David Bowles, here with you almost every day, Monday through Friday, at 9 a.m. Eastern. Yesterday, we were not here. I guess, through all faults of my own. But there were several reasons we wanted to try to move from a Mac setup to a Windows setup. When our music would play, we would get sort of kind of a ticking sound. We would go tick, 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 which was bothersome. We could not reliably play videos without it stuttering and stammering. The video, not the sound. And we couldn't do a live setup for interviews. So if we wanted to interview somebody via Zoom or Google Meet, it would just lag and look really terrible. And we don't have those problems under Windows. Windows handles stuff happening in a window very well. However, this wonderful setup we have for our Mac in Windows, and now that my desktop keeps refreshing every like 5 minutes. And I think I know how to fix it, but I didn't have time to fix it in the restore, so I hope it's not affecting our live stream. And so I was experimenting because the sound didn't sound quite right. There was no bass. It sounded like my voice was compressed in the Windows version of this live stream. In the Mac version, I thought the sound was okay. So a lot of experimenting, filters, plugins, different hardware I tried, different cables I worked on. None of it seemed to work. And I hope that my voice is in sync with my lips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If not, let me know. This is our first test back after a complete and utter disaster. So I'm experimenting, and then the sound is off, and where it used to peak all the way over, then it would just, peak a little bit. There was no sound from the mic. Then it completely lost the microphone. And I would try to reinstall the software and DLLs and all. I remember why I have not been a Windows user for 27 years. Because on a Mac, it just works. You turn on a Mac and the Mac operates. And that's the advantage of having software and hardware built by the same company. They know how to fix things. You can install things on your Apple computer and you can uninstall things on your Apple computer and things don't break. So I'm using different cables because there's a little bit of background sound. It's just kind of like a hiss, which I guess has always been there, but not as noticeable on a Mac than it is on Windows. Thank you so much, Dora. Because when I watch myself, I am not in sync. My face is behind my voice. But I fixed that in the software Gremlins, so it does appear to be synced. But when I'm talking to myself, I'm behind. But that's okay, because over here I'm behind, and over here I'm behind, and over here I'm behind, all my monitors. So yesterday, 2 days ago, after I did the show, I said, I've got to figure out this sound problem because it doesn't sound very good. And I used the audio from this live stream to create a Human Being podcast episode about William Hurt's rape of Marlee Matlin. And in what we call post-production, I was able to take the audio from this feed and sort of clean it up a little bit and enhance it, and it didn't sound as bad. But it did sound compressed. There was a filter on there to get rid of background noise. And one thing I've learned is there's no such good thing as a background noise filter when you're live. Now, when it's over, the noise filters are very good. But when you're live, and if you're speaking dramatically and not like a drone, or sometimes you're softer, and sometimes you're a little bit louder, and sometimes you're shouting, noise suppression filter cannot handle that change in volume and intensity because it clips your voice. A terrible and dysfunctional thing. So after the show 2 days ago, I was trying to figure things out, and we were using Krisp.ai, Krisp.ai. Then you turn it off, you turn it on, and it was kind of the same thing. There was a lot of background hiss. And sometimes it makes me wonder if some companies, not necessarily Krisp.ai, install software on your computer, and when it's activated, oh, it sounds better. And when it's deactivated, it sounds worse than normal. I don't know if that's a thing or if that's some kind of psychological response to what happened 2 days ago. But I take the full blame. I'm the one with the hands, I'm the one with the fingers, I'm the one with the ears trying to figure out how to make this work for the eyes and the ears. And I was unsuccessful. So I've had this new Windows set up for about 2 weeks. We've been streaming nonstop, 7 days a week for over 4 months. And yesterday was the first time I missed a show. Excuse me. Which did not please me. So I said, okay, so I'm going to restore Windows. And you can go back to a restore point where Windows claims that they will go back to a point in time. It's not a backup, this is a restore point, and restore your system to how it was when it was originally working. Now, unfortunately, because I had just started this Windows machine, my restore point was 2 weeks ago from the day I installed Windows. But I thought, okay, it's better than nothing, and better than, as I remember in the good old bad days 27 years ago, of totally restarting from scratch and erasing everything and reinstalling Windows as if you have a brand new machine installed. I said, anything's got to be better than that. So we picked the restore point, restored everything, and Streamlabs Desktop, which is what we used to stream, was sort of working enough where I could do the show yesterday, but nothing else was working. I'd started Adobe, Photoshop, and it said, does not exist, file does not exist. And I try to reinstall, you can't reinstall it because it's already installed. I can't start because it's not installed. Around and around and around and around and around. And I'm remembering the nightmares. 27 years ago, Windows 95. Just wipe it and start over. So all day I struggled with it 2 days ago. Finally, I think I somehow got the microphone back. And somehow, finally, I could hear myself in my headphones. And I said, okay, it's now 2:30 in the morning, and I'm doing the show at 9 in the morning, and I get up at 5. So I have enough where I can just limp through the show and then figure out what to do and how to fix this. Go into the Adobe Forum, Streamlabs, Logitech, and just get help on how to reinstall this stuff. So I went to bed, woke up, turned on the computer, nothing was working. And I said, okay, this won't work. It's not possible for me to do a show where half of it's working and half of it's not working, because the whole thing will probably blow up in my face. So I made the executive decision that I just had to start from zero and wipe everything out and reinstall all my apps, all my fonts, and I have a lot of fonts. And fonts is not an automatic process of installation on Windows. But I thought if I just go back to 000 and restart, It has to solve the problems that I've been having. And I will not install all these trickery things that I've been working with, like 4 or 5 different apps, hardware apps, new cables, Voicemeeter, Crisp.ai, other filters, plugins. Just don't do any of that. Just install one thing. I had OBS regular, not the OBS Streamlabs, or just regular OBS. I didn't like that. It was very confusing. So don't install that. Don't install this. Don't install this. That. Just install the basic needs to try to get back on the air and start a new 4-month stretch. And it's sort of working now. So I made that decision to not go live at 6 a.m. yesterday morning, and we go live at 9. And surprisingly, the reinstall of Windows went pretty fast. I said, wipe everything, don't save anything, just go. And Windows said, I'm going. And that maybe took not long, 45 minutes, an hour. So I thought, oh gosh, we're back. But do I have everything that I need? Because I lost all my research, all my things. I said, well, let's just keep going. Let's see what happens. So I started reinstalling bit by bit, slowly by slowly. Everything was coming back. You have to do a lot of testing. And then it was about, 10:30. I was not doing the show. It was about 10:30, and I was pretty much back. So it was about 6 hours from nothing to a total restore, which was not terrible. A little bit disappointing, but not terrible. And the one thing that saved me, so I'm having a little flashback. The one thing that saved me from probably another 4 hours of complete and total misery reinstalling was installing the Streamlabs desktop, which used to be called Streamlabs OBS, which we all called Slobs. Now, when I installed the Windows version of Streamlabs, because we've been using it on our Mac, nothing was saved. I could see the old scenes from the Mac there, but they don't work on Windows. So all the funny things you see flying here, and the logos, and the chatting, and the alerts, none of that transferred over from Windows, from Mac to Windows. However, if I knew at the time, because I want to get everything else set up, everything audio, and then install Streamlabs. Because then I knew everything underlying was going to be okay, because sometimes I noticed when things were not going well, Streamlabs would say, you have the wrong video driver. You have to update this. We can't use NVEC. We have to use something else. Done something wrong. We're sending files to the authorities and technical support. And then the files they were sending were 300 megabytes, and they said, we can't send it because the file's too big. What have you done? So I said, I don't want any of that. So I'll wait till everything's pretty much installed, all the basics, and then I'll install the Streamlabs desktop again. And I installed Streamlabs desktop, and everything was still here. Everything was perfectly preserved, which is the way I thought it was going to be when I installed it on the Windows or the Mac version, because that's one of the advantages of going with Streamlabs, is they save everything in your account. And you access it online, it's everything up there, and then you come here, hey, and you start broadcasting live. So I did, and everything was preserved. I didn't have to set up anything. I didn't have to re-download or reprogram or recreate or design or find the files. Everything that I had done 2 weeks ago was magically, for some reason, still there in Streamlabs, where the day before, when I restored from a restore point, Streamlabs couldn't find anything. And would keep crashing on me. So if I knew that miracle was going to happen, where I would just start Streamlabs and be able to go, I could have done the show yesterday. And when I realized this at about 10:30 a.m., I thought, maybe I should just go on and say hello and keep my streak alive. And keep testing and just see how it goes. But I decided not to because I really wanted to do offline video tests to make sure the sync was right, that the audio was okay, that the music wasn't too loud or the music is too loud. I just wanted to make sure it was rock solid, because there's nothing worse than starting a stream and then you're glitching and people are complaining, you're twitching, what's wrong with you? So it's better to try to make sure you're all set up beforehand and then go live. So I spent the rest of the day getting passwords and reinstalling and getting the rest of it all done. And I felt pretty successful. It all seemed to work out all right. I went to the skin doctor and got a great report. He said, "You have the most beautiful skin ever," which makes me laugh. He said, "You must get a lot of compliments." I said, "Well, for 2 years I've been stuck in my room with a mask on, so I'm not really seeing other people." You know what I mean? But I'll take it, because he is taking care of my melanomas and all of the skin cancer that I've had on my face, as you can see here. And then I read over the weekend about melanomas and how they can really spread. They get into your lymph nodes and your liver, and it's a very bad thing. So this blue light therapy that we do once a month. Thank you, Dora. Great news. I hope you had good news yesterday, too. And the blue light therapy, it just wears you out a little bit, because it's this bright blue light, it's sunlight, glowing on your face for about 8 minutes. And it's sort of, you can see my face is a little bit red. It sort of burns you a little bit. That's, I guess, the idea. And then you're done. And then I came back to the office, turned on the computer and said, "Oh my gosh, I hope all the Windows stuff is still working." And it was working perfectly. And it has been working okay so far, except for this desktop refresh that keeps wong every 5 to 10 minutes. So it went well. Reinstall. If you ever have a problem with Windows, I'll tell you this, I wrote books about Windows. I wrote about computers. I've been on the internet publishing since 1996. If you have a problem with Windows that is severe and you're crashing a lot, you will not be able to fix it. There is no fix. There is no restore point in time in which you can go back and life will be good again. It's impossible. Maybe have a backup. Backup important files. I don't think you should back up the whole drive, because then you're just preserving all the problems that you had before. Back up the important stuff. That's why OneDrive is great, because Microsoft just kind of copies over all that stuff and saves it for you in the cloud, which is not going to corrupt it. And then, when the time comes, just restore, erase everything, and start all over again. That is my advice for how to survive in a Windows world. And you can hear the silence coming from me now, because I'm sure I've broken some sort of immutable technical law.